let's start with you're a lawyer by training. Is that the right way to say it? But somehow you found your way in comms.
Yeah. Because I have a background in comms.
Oh.
I graduated communication arts in LaSalle.
Oh, you're pre-law.
My pre-law is com arts in LaSalle.
But you never practiced until you became spokesman of Pinoy.
I did a few months of script writing.
Okay.
In a very old show of Pamana family show.
Okay.
With Father Sonny Ramirez and a very small Manilyn Reynes.
So it shouldn't be that surprising.
No, but
that's something we don't know about.
But compared to political comms, it's totally different.
So
but you're right. I got really trained during the campaign.
Okay, how was it like?
In the
Pinoy years, no?
Oh, during the campaign.
Ang dami. It was a crash course.
No naman. It was during the campaign. You learned already. You know, we have a say. I mean, Mario Cuomo, Governor Mario Cuomo of New York. And I always quote him. He would say, "You campaign in poetry, you govern in prose." So, kasi pag kampanya yan, di ba? Everything just talagang you can say. I mean, it was more free flowing.
Okay.
But when you're governing now,
that has to be more measured.
It will be measured. That's why you govern in prose. You cannot campaign in poetry. Kasi in campaigning, you can promise
anything.
I mean, at the very least, knowing that what you can deliver, you can promise. But dito sa governing na, it's different already because you're in charge of, and you're now more accountable. You've got agencies that you have to take care of. So the president, when I speak for the president, I have to make sure that what I say is what is in his mind. So that's a very, very different thing I cannot do with.
Is access to the president the most important thing for your job? And how much access did you have back then?
Yes, the access to the president is very important because you need to know the mind of the president. Sometimes there are certain issues which we don't know how to respond. And it was taken maybe in a meeting, but you remember it and you know how the president responded. So it helps. You need to have very, very good access with the president. Otherwise, your responses will be, I don't know, let me get back to you. It has to be, in the case of Noy was very, very clear with us. Huwag kayong magwiwido. Kung hindi nyo alam, just say that. Or text me if you don't know, if you have time to still wait for my response. Text me or visit my office.
So what sort of access did you have? I mean, outside of official cabinet meetings, ka-chat mo ba siya? Ka-text mo siya? Does he respond automatically? Or?
We technically, it's not really the entire cabinet. We rarely meet as an entire cabinet. But every day we have meetings starting at 10 in the morning. And then sometimes we'll have meetings twice in the afternoon. In between that, we would have lunch or we would just talk. In between breaks, we'll talk to him. And then sometimes, in between breaks, I get questions from media. So what I'll do is, sir, may text dito. Ano ang sagot natin dito?
Sabi nila, it's not during official cabinet meetings that decisions are really made, but usually during, at least in the Pinoy cabinet, it was during Yossi breaks. I know there's a version of that in every administration.
No, but sometimes it's very hands-on. You know, whenever we have cabinet meetings, and sometimes, for instance, it's not the entire cabinet. The usual thing is we have a particular agency or department that wants to get the approval of the president. So they will present. So normally what happens is for instance, let's say for example, the SWD would like to have a certain thing approved. They will send in the materials. So our staff, PMS, the Presidential Management Staff, will do a CSW, complete staff work. So they will provide a briefing for the president, which we are also provided. A day or two, it's given to us. We study it. Pagpasok sa meeting yan, diretso na yan. The president will immediately ask questions. And he will have a calculator beside him kung perang pinag-uusapan.
Okay.
And sometimes decisions are made while you're there. And there are times talaga na there are very few times, I think wala pa nga, na hindi siya handa. Because we have always a CSW beside us.
We've heard many stories na medyo pikon siya. He won't let go.
Depende. Kung it's something that he takes personal, talagang pikon yan, babalatan niya yan. Like nangyari kay Chief Justice Corona. Pikon yun. Because of what I forgot what decision it was. And before that, there was a modus vivendi na. I mean, somebody mediated between a justice of the Supreme Court, mediated between CJ Corona and the president. Nagkaroon ng parang modus vivendi kasi nga Ayaw naman namin si Chief Justice Corona.
Right.
Remember, he's
midnight appointee ni Gloria Arroyo.
Correct. That's why hindi siyang
Right.
swear ng oath kay Chief Justice
Right.
because ayaw niya he doesn't believe that he's the right appointee. Anyway, so, medyo ang feeling niya, tingnan mo na, akala ko may usapan tayo. Nung napikon na, he gave a speech. Nasa tabi nung sa speech, nandoon si Chief Justice Corona. Hindi naman alam ng mga pobre kung anong topic ng speech niya. In that speech, he criticized Chief Justice Corona in his presence. I mean, ganun siya ka-prangka. Nung dating stasyon nyo, anniversary nun. Ano yun?
Oo.
Di ba?
Oo.
Yun.
Sa speech niya, may binanata siyang anchor.
Exactly.
Can we say Noli de Castro?
Oo. Diba? But
Medyo marami nagulat dun sa speech na yun.
Exactly. He's very frank that way. And as a result of that, yung asar kay Corona, institutional naging, for him, it's not an institutional issue. That's why he said, let's impeach him. Tama na to. So that's why we decided to
But it's very transparent then?
It's very, I mean, to the extent that, yes, he's very transparent with us. Siyempre, pagdating sa media, may ano na yan, may konting filter na. But ramdam mo pa rin. I'm sure you knew na galit siya kay Corona.
Yeah.
Pero not at the extent of how he feels when he's in private. So, gano'n siya ka, ano.
Can we go back to 2016?
Right.
Apparently, kinukwento mo kanina, apparently that you were one of those, can I say one of those, or the one instrumental in convincing Mar Rojas then to choose choose Leni Robredo as his running mate.
It happened this way, no? I remember it was the end of...
Kasi may pupuntahan tayo dyan sa tanong ko na yan, ano?
The end of Ramadan to eh. The end of, I forgot I forgot.
Yes, one of those.
So, Butch was informed by Senator, Chis Escudero at the time, Senator Chis Escudero, na Grace is no longer going to be partnered with Mar as his vice presidential candidate. So, we were informed, we were in a meeting, we were informed. And sabi ko, let's stop marching to the beat of her drums. Kasi we're trying to, in fact, I told Mar nga, let's meet kasi maganda kayong dalawa. And by the way, hindi mo alam to. It was Mar who got Grace to join the senatorial elections, midterm. He asked, Sinoy at that time, tingnan muna, bakit siya kukunin natin? MTRCB siya. But
ang layo, no?
Ang layo. Sabi ni Mar, no, I think there's
something there.
There's something there with Grace. I think she can be a good asset to us in the Senate.
He was already looking at a potential Grace running mate.
Wala pa nun.
Really?
He was just looking at who can fill the 12 nominees for the Senate during the midterm. Siyempre, after that, nag-number 1 si Grace. So, presidentiable siya kaagad. And ang suggestion natin, maganda kayong dalawa as a tandem. And Grace was, to her credit, was very open. Until she felt and that she'd rather do it on her own as president.
Siya na lang tatakbo presidente. Right.
So nangyari yun. So when we were meeting, sabi ko, let's stop marching to the beat of her drums. So let's look for our own. Sino sa tingin mo? Sabi ko, why don't we get Leni Robredo? Kasi at the time, she was a widow and her name was Mabango. And talagang maganda yung storya ni Leni Robredo. And I really felt,
And some shades of a Cory Aquino in 86.
Yes,
may ganun
as a
ba
widow.
May ganung narrative yon?
At that point, yes, nakita ko na yun. Kasi nga, actually, nung nag-uusap kami, for us in the good governance, reforms take root in 10 years.
Right.
Like 6 years is not enough. So you need to have at the very least.
So the Pinoy 6 years plus another 6. Yun ang, I think,
Pinoy, Mar, and then at that time, the third term, we were thinking of Jessie Robredo.
Okay.
So nung wala, namatay si Jessie Robredo. So sabi natin, baka pwede natin kunin si Leni.
Yung byuda.
So I had to convince all of them in that room. Some of them, sila Dinky Soliman, sila Senator Frank Drilon. Kasi bago talaga. I mean, these are political, they are experts in it. So I had to justify kung
What was the reservation?
Bago siya. Hindi pa siya tumatakbo, di ba? She's just a widow.
Didn't they see the symbolism? Which you saw apparently,
I'm more romantic than
pragmatic. The poetry in the campaign, right?
Maybe in their eyes, being seasoned politicians, they were quite hesitant at first. But eventually, I suggested, and the entire table, we had a number of names that were being bandied about.
For example,
Sila Vilma Santos, Allen Cayetano, some other names. So, but eventually I said, no, dapat si Lenny kasi may hubog na na-train na ito ni Jesse Robredo. Kasi alam mo, ang mga misis ng mga politiko, mas may alam yan. Kasi they do the logistics, sila yung naghahanda sa kusina. These are people who are familiar with logistics more than anything else. Napoleon Bonaparte has a saying, an army marches on its stomach.
On its stomach, right.
It's the logistics issue that really...
Yeah, that's how you win wars, right?
That's how you win wars,
logistics.
Diba? So that's why. And eventually, they agreed. Sabi ni Mar, okay, you kausapin mo si Lenny and see if she's open. So I met with her. And I broached the idea. And she was she was surprised. But eventually, we were able to convince her. Eventually, the president and all the others ganged up on her, so to speak. And eventually, she agreed to be vice president. In fact, because of that, ang tawag sa akin ni Lenny, ako ang salarin.
Yun.
So, yun yung nangyari. Yes, ako may kasalanan. Pero, she really performed beyond expectations talaga.
Oh, that's the poet in you, running a campaign, right?
Yeah.
So that
by the way, I wasn't the campaign manager then.
No. But, in a way, okay, not running a campaign, but,
Yeah. But they had a separate campaign naman. They had a separate campaign, but it was a good campaign for Lenny. She got known.
Pero at the same time, Edwin, you were mentioning a formula. You believed in this formula na usually dapat yung running mate pangbardagulan. Ng running mate ng isang presidente pangbardagulan. That's not Lenny.
That's not Lenny. In hindsight, you need someone who would protect the presidential candidate because what's the point of winning second place if you don't get the first place? We've seen that in 2016, no? So, ang mahalaga talaga, you protect the president.
So in 2016, that wasn't your thinking?
That wasn't my thinking.
Okay.
That was the thinking of others, except that I suppose I prevailed on the others to consider Lenny. But they already have that mindset.
But Lenny won. Okay, so...
but things would have been different if Mar won. But my point lang is, had he won, it would have taken a different
Would he
position.
have won if he had a pambardagol na vice president?
It's possible. It's possible. But he would have clearly won if Grace did not run and be his vice presidential candidate. Because we split the yellow votes. In fact, if you add the votes of Mar and Grace, it would have been higher than President Duterte's vote.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. My impression also of the 2016 campaign was that because wala nga pang bardagol si Maroas, it was mostly him doing the attacking on Jejo Manbilay.
Si Barry was there. Barry Gutierrez was a spokesperson then. Because we asked Barry to be the spokesperson.
So it's not enough for the spokesperson to do the attacking. It has to be a running mate?
Well, if I recall, Barry was also on the offense on certain occasions, but it would have been better if it would have been somebody who was also on the same level. I mean, a vice presidential candidate doing also the defending. Hindi naman talagang bardagulan na panay attack lang. Really defending kasi the presidential candidate should be focused on sharing his vision for the country and his programs of government. And you're somehow sidelined if you keep on defending whatever they were throwing at the candidate.
Was Duterte something unexpected for
It was
those in the Mar
totally
campaign?
unexpected, yes.
I mean, having him campaigning and like being strong relatively, so to speak, in social media. How did you contend with that factor, with the Duterte presence? In that
It was totally unexpected, but early on, some of us felt, because there was, and this is also admitted to me by Lito Banayo, there was something wrong with their certificate of candidacy. Remember, it was a substitution for Dino yata eh. So I felt, legally, we could have disqualified President Duterte at that point. And in fact, sila Banayo were really worried. And I was one of the few who said, let's disqualify him.
Okay.
But the other members of the campaign team felt, wag mo disqualify yan kasi
They underestimated.
they underestimated.
You did not.
I
Because
did
you
not.
why? What did you see in that campaign? Earlier, during the campaign in 2016.
Because I felt he would be a threat. Because his numbers were slowly rising. But no matter how slow it was on the rise. It was ascending. So I felt, let's take that away so that we can concentrate on, because at that point, Binay was already going down because of the Hacienda Binay issue. So we need to focus on only Grace. And a little bit of Binay. But the thinking of the campaign was different. So they let Duterte stay, and eventually Duterte took off. It was totally unexpected because apparently he was able to get a good message out there, which is change. And also one of my lessons here, kung kakampanya ka, always campaign on a theme of change. Mas madali eh. Kaysa continuity, kasi may continuity, may baggage. Because remember, our campaign was ituloy ang daang matuwid.
Right.
There were baggage also, and then they highlighted the negatives of the Pinoy administration.
But Pinoy was leaving, was stepping down, was ending his term on a high note, So I guess back then it would seem logical to campaign on continuity.
You can make a campaign of change even if there's continuity.
Okay.
I think that's the one thing that I felt, and that's just me. Na in hindsight na to, no? The always campaign on a theme of change. Never campaign on a theme of continuity. Mahirap talaga.
But what I'd like to ask you now is that are you prepping for 2028 to have a big role or somewhat big role?
Well, I'm invested
Uh-huh.
because I would like to see a government that is really truly responsive to the needs of the people. It's something that after working 6 years in government, seeing how Pinoy did it, I think we can bring back the integrity of government as we saw it, not as nostalgia. And by the way, nostalgia is not a strategy.
Okay.
How do we improve further governance as we see it right now? Because we've been confronted with corruption.
Okay. You're invested as a Filipino, I guess, as a Filipino.
And as we all are.
Okay, as we all are. But have you been enlisted by somebody who is more or less in the front line?
I have a certain candidate, and I am not afraid to. I will not be bashful in saying who my candidate is. But let me just say first the framework where I'm coming from. We are now in the situation we are in right now is similar to a pre-2010 situation where we have 12 years of just corruption. Remember in the time of President Erap, there was this huge, that's why there was an impeachment case against
him. And then followed by Gloria Arroyo.
Followed by Gloria Arroyo.
10 years of Gloria
9
Arroyo.
years. 9 years of corruption. So, and during that time, people were really longing for change, for good governance. And it so happened that Pinoy came in, and his promise was kung walang korap, walang mahirap. It's about transparency and accountability. We are also in that framework right now. People are now, because of the huge flood control problem, the flood control corruption, and apparently it extended all the way back during the Duterte administration. And there are now, formally also happened during the Duterte administration. So there's really, people are beginning to feel, wala pa itong katapusan. And they're now looking for, by the way, also the other thing I've been talking to business, that corruption is no longer just it's not just a cost of doing business. It has cost lives. It has stopped investments flowing. Our economy, our GDP has gone down. So it is not just a cost of doing business. It is now existential for us. So we need to have an anti-corruption crusader to fix this whole problem.
So you're going to reprise 2010?
To a certain degree, because that's where we are right now.
Okay.
I mean, and corruption is one of the top 3 issues now.
Okay.
Because top of mind na eh. You had the one guest who was saying, corruption was an elitist issue. Sabi ko, kailan naging elitist ang issue ng corruption kung ang mga taong bayan mismo, ang ingay nila na nararamdaman nila na humina ang kanilang kita, kulang ang pagkain may problema sa kitchen table issues.
Can we say you're rooting for Risa Hontiveros?
Yes, I believe, because I've seen Risa work. She's not afraid to confront where corruption is. She's not afraid.
How are you going to sell Risa?
It's still
to the people.
It's still early. It's still early, but we've seen already that people need someone who's willing to confront the demons in our country.
Okay.
Corruption being one, and he's not afraid to confront all the things that she has confronted in the Senate. Alice Go, all the other issues in the Senate, even including President Duterte. Okay. So, and that's why what's important first is to plant in the minds of the people, itong si Risa, ipaglalaban kayo. Hindi niyo siya kailangan ipaglaban. Siya ang lalaban sa inyo. It's one thing to say, matapang, there's no doubt, matapang, also VP Sara is also matapang. But ang tapang ni Sara, ang tapang ni Risa, para sa taong bayan. Di ba yung tapang niya, kino-confront niya si Alice Go, kino-confront niya yung mga pogo.
So 2028, baka labanan to ng matatapang na babae.
Sana nga.
Sana ganun
Sana
ba yun?
nga.
Ganun ba yun?
Kasi yung mga ibang kandidato, magagaling din,
Well,
no doubt.
Sa labanan na yan, is there still room for a Leni Robredo?
Oy, si Leni Robredo has stated categorically that she is not running.
Some people feel that she's the strongest, she's the person who has the strongest chance of beating Sara.
It's understandable because she has high numbers right now in the surveys. Si Bam and si Risa are in the low single digit. And I told sila Butch Abad, it's because their numbers are low. Bam and Risa's number, these two are
Right.
presidentiables. Their numbers are low because Lenny is suppressing the numbers.
Okay.
Through no fault of Lenny, there's hesitation on the part of the people to vote for either Risa or Sara because they're thinking that Lenny is still running. That's perfectly understandable. That's why it has to be made clear that Lenny is no longer interested in running. She wants to help our candidate, whoever he or she would be. But that's the extent so far at this point. She's interested.
Is there
in
something for you that Senator Risa Hontiveros needs to do? I mean, I understand them. When did she run for senator and win? That you were the one
Who told her to get rid of the Paduel?
No, not me. I didn't
Not
say.
you, Bob.
That
Okay,
was a common.
so there's something that maybe it doesn't have to be a big thing, some small thing that she needs to do, for example, to at least improve the optics.
See, Risa has all the qualifications. Let's talk about qualifications first. She has introduced a number of legislative bills and laws that would protect most of the sectors. She's now the head of the health committee, and she's found a number of problems there that she intends to resolve. She has fought against the Pogo. So
Yeah.
she is really someone who's fighting for our country. What she's only viewed now as a senatoriable. So what does that mean? You just need to change her tonality to a presidentiable. It takes time, and that's why we have this whole year of preparing right now. And she's open. She said she's open. That's why there's
Does it
enough.
also require her to at least tone down on reacting or attacking other people,
I
for
don't.
example? Because she has been known for that during her time as a senator.
She's attacking China.
Well, yeah, for example, yeah, okay.
Those are points where when she feels that the interests of our country is at stake, or the interests of certain segments of the people, the marginalized, are at stake, then she will not hesitate to speak out in defense of those marginalized people or those who are oppressed.
We had Risa here a few days ago, and she said that, admittedly, responding to a question that VP Sara Duterte would be more or less the strongest candidate an oppositionist would have to face in 2020. Do you agree with her?
Yes. Well, number one, there's no doubt that Sara is the number one among the presidentiables. But it is not the fault of Risa that Sara mentioned her in the impeachment complaint by Akbayan. So what she did implicitly, or maybe she didn't realize it, that she elevated Risa to her level. As what
We go back to what you were saying, punch up, not punch down.
right, and also, these seasoned politicians do not attack ghosts; they attack emerging threats. She may be smart that way, that she is looking at Risa as the emerging threat. Because the father has already confronted with Lenny. They know how to attack Lenny. I mean, 6 na taon siyang binabanatan. Well, Bam is new. Bam is a technocrat. He's not largely known for anti-corruption efforts, but he's known as a education. So, to her, I think by elevating Risa, she has implicitly acknowledged that she is going to be her peer, her main contender in the 2028 elections. Maybe that was done unconsciously, but that's the effect of it.
In putting together a team, you're probably your voice would weigh in, among.
I don't know
members
yet.
of the
I don't know
opposition.
yet.
In putting together a team, at least in theory, do you think that you were mentioning that they would have to look for outside of the yellow and pink axis for a running mate for a Risa?
It's a possibility.
candidacy?
Even by the way, it's a possibility that because you have to build a Big Ten coalition.
Mhm.
It's not just, for instance, a Marcos group. No, I mean they're saying that sila ang magko-coalition. But there are also the segments of, let's say, the group of Tito Sen, Senator Ping Lacson, all the others who are not clearly identified with the yellow-pink or with the Marcos forces. So you really need to do a Big Ten coalition.
So
And she also already mentioned that.
So a Risa and Bam Aquino ticket wouldn't cut it? Because that's
well-
like limiting yourself to the same group.
To a certain degree, if I was being pragmatic about it, yes, it's going to be limiting because you're just focused on the
So
yellow.
you have to look
which
outside.
We do not have enough votes among just the yellow and the pink forces. As the numbers of Lenny was about 15 million during the last elections, or about 28%, I think. So that's not enough.
Okay.
So you really have to engage the other forces.
Ronald Llamas, our friend, suggests that it has to be, that other person has to be a Tulfo. Because that would bring in votes that are not with the yellows right now.
That's correct. I mean, it's possible. There have been no, I don't know with Risa if there have been any discussions, but that's the idea of building a Big Ten coalition.
Would
Being
the
open to others.
Would the Big Ten ironically include elements of the administration? Because the administration also has a lot at stake in seeing that Sara Duterte
And I
does not
think
win the presidency.
more than anything else, it is an existential threat to the Marcos administration.
So do you see them being part of that big tent, the administration?
In the universe of possibilities, yes.
Okay. Why does it seem that the opposition, okay, let's call the opposition, the United Opposition, which used to be identified before with the Never Again group, okay, now feel that it's anybody but Sara? What happened that the Marcoses are now more likely to be an ally just because you need to stop a Duterte return?
Ang concern kasi there are fears, for instance, kung babalik ba ang EJK. Number one. Number two, globally, she's identified as, her global politics is more leaning towards China. So, yung mga concerns na
Those two main concerns.
our military forces are Western trained. So we've spoken to some, they're very pro-US sila. So they view Sara as pro-China. So there are many concerns. And the other thing also, what we've heard is that unlike the president, unlike her father, she is quite unpredictable. So there are many
More
issues.
unpredictable than Duterte, because Duterte is quite unpredictable too.
President Duterte listens to his advisors naman. Although he may be unpredictable, but not as unpredictable as that. Anyway, that is what they're saying. So, and this is also manifested by the kinds of statement that she has issued in the past. Remember when the Quadcom was in its full strength of hearing, parang nag-ano siya di ba? Yung nahuli ba yung inaresto yung ano niya, yung chief of staff,
right?
Talagang nag-ano siya Yung, how do you call that? Yung parang
she went nuclear or
she
something
went
like
nuclear.
that.
So that's not expected of you shouldn't be doing that. You should be able to temper your emotions. You should project yourself as a leader. So
That episode is something that she won't never live down.
Yes, but see, that's a concern for the people. Is she somebody who will lead us or steer us in the right direction? And that's why I feel strongly that Risa can help be that president that will guide us and bring us to a better Philippines in 2028.